Hey, if you want to win a free license for SUMU, stick till the end so you can know how. What if you could deconstruct sound into different pieces and then affect each one in terms of timbre and time? Not only that, what if you could also organize these pieces into a 3D space? Well, Madrona Labs had that in mind when they created SUMU, a spectral additive FM synthesizer with specialization options. It's elegant, subtle, experimental and fun, so let me tell you everything about it. If you like exploring sounds with me, give this video a like. This is the only thing I want, really. Very basically, this is a modular additive synth. The way I see it, it has three very unique features, and the first one is that it divides the sound into 64 different partials. Now, this division is not only about the sound, but for almost every parameter you see on the screen. But as they are happening at the same time right now, we only hear them as one sound. In just a moment I will show you how you can differentiate each of the partials. Following the routing, the envelope right now is wired to the amplitude, and as you can see it has this weird 3D shape. Now that's because in reality they are 64 different envelopes. The best way to visualize this concept is by using the envelope to control the time of the partials and then play around with this high scale parameter. You can see that now each envelope will gradually get more time or less time depending on where you go. Now, as you can see, the visualization of both the partials and the envelope correspond to the sound. You can hear that each partial has different timing. So instead of letting you control each of the 64 partials individually, the elegant way SUMU works is by creating variations in amounts and movement for each one. But to get the most out of movement, here we have the second unique feature, the pulses. These are again 64 individual pulses, where the more blue they have, more probability will be that they will be triggered. As you can see, we have an output that reads only the low frequencies, another that reads only the highs, and one that reads everything. So for instance, if we take the output and map it to the mod index, now this movement will be applied to the 64 different partials with their own FM. Let me also introduce some noise to the signal, so each one has some sort of offset. We can change the shape, and for instance, if we move it to the left, now more low pulses will be triggered. If we use the low, high and all outputs, we have more variation in movement. One of my favorite things to do is using the pulses to control the timing of each partial, giving us unique soundscapes. And besides all of that, you can also change like the envelope shape of the pulses and the rhythm and whatnot. The third unique feature is the space, which can be used as a reverb, but of course, it's so much more than that. It's a spatial designer. Now, I highly recommend that for this part of the video, you use headphones so you can experience better how this works. By changing the shape, you can see that now each of the 64 partials we have a different position in a 3D space. All of these parameters will change the position and the movement of this shape, and they can even distort it a bit. All of them except theta, which will rotate the room. And of course, as we have these little dials, it means that we can add movement with the pulses, the envelope and whatnot. Using this feature is crazy because from one sound we get 64 different particles that are dancing around in a 3D space. Now, you may need some time to wrap your head around on how this synth works. I know I need some time. But that in itself was a fun experience, very explorative. Now, I know the price is on the expensive side, but if you like unique instruments, give this one a try and maybe you find it to be worth it. I really like this synth and its concept, but there are two things you need to know. As this divides the sound into 64 partials and also applies 64 envelopes, 64 pulses, 64 FM engines and the spatial thing, it's very heavy on CPU. I mean, in this project, SUMU is the only plugin that I got active, and it's using almost half of my CPU, and I have a decent computer. I mean, for Bitwig to show me this amount of CPU usage, I will need a decent project, almost a song. Now, additive synthesis is heavy, so I don't know what can be done to optimize it. The second thing is that for using your own samples, you need a second software. You don't have to pay extra for it, but it's a second thing. Personally, don't have issues with that. I'm sure there's a reason on why you need another processor to use the samples inside the synth, but I also know that maybe for some users this is not an optimal workflow, so I figured I mention it. The good thing is that this is a one-time process. That means that you can build your own library and then never use it again. So, conclusion time. This is a very refreshing synth, a unique concept. It's not only for musicians and some designers, but also for people that love to just explore possibilities of sound. Once you get the hang of it, the workflow is really fast and the visual feedback you get when playing with it is great. But of course, I want to read your opinions down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, I will see you next time and bye bye! So to have a chance to win a license for SUMU, you just have to comment your favorite producer down below. I'll be picking the winner at random next Tuesday. They will be notified by me responding the comment. Best of lucks!